Hi, this is Nora Fellowship, and today I have Sara Troy with the Self Discovery Wisdom podcast. She's an author and also a podcaster, and looking forward to talking with her. I met her through Alignable, and maybe Sarah, if you would be kind enough to introduce yourself a little bit about what you do, and then we'll go into the first question, which is basically, what is your learning journey like? What
Okay,
was your learning journey like?
my name is Sara Troy. I'm the owner and founder of selfdiscoverywisdom.com podcast network. I've been podcasting for 13 and a half years. I do it professionally. I branched out into books, what I call podcast books. Our first one is The Discovery of Self, which is an ebook, and the second one is Our Forgotten Children, an anthology around the raising of our children. The third book will be Our Forgotten Seniors, which is I am gathering authors for right now. But my primary thing is podcasting. And the learning curve is getting out of your head, getting out of your way, trusting your gut, your instincts, your knowingness, and going with the flow and allowing things to be what they are meant to be. The structure will be formed from there.
I have a little bit of construction going on, so I muted myself so it wouldn't interrupt you. So I apologize if it bleeds through into the recording.
Anything, I
Um,
can't hear anything, so you're okay.
okay, good. Um, so, could you share a little bit of your learning journey of how you came, became an author and a podcaster?
Yes, I actually was behind a quantum electric motor technology, which eventually got stolen from us, and so kind of left flattened and grounded. And I wrote an article and kind of on despair, and somebody saw that article and looked at my site, which is as a personality trait counselor. I was doing, and I still do now and again when I have the time. And she asked me to join her podcast network. And at the time, I had no idea what a podcast was. And I joined her network. It was live for 13 and a half months, a great training ground. I caught the bug, interviewing some wonderful people doing some wonderful things, and started my own network just over 12 years ago, and been doing it ever since. Got about 3,000 shows under my belt, and I get to interview people who are making a difference in the world. And I love it. And as for an author, the book's behind me. I've written my own book, Sarah's Self Discovery. I've been in the Mission Accepted 262 book, which is 262 authors in there. It's been to the Emmys, the Grammys, and the Oscars, and it's working its way around the world. I've also interviewed about 50 people from the book. Our Forgotten Children book, I have contributed to that. I'm not selfish. I'm not easily manipulated. I've contributed to that. And Dare to Live Fearlessly, which I've contributed to that as well.
So, what inspired you to learn how to write and learn how to podcast? It was you got invited to the podcast first, and then you kind of got the bug.
Mhm.
Can you explain about that a little bit?
The first show was like a Monty Python skit, and I'm aging myself. Most people won't know what Monty Python is, but like I pressed every button and it went wrong. It was live, and I was introducing myself, and the producer said, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you," because I was pressing the wrong buttons and getting frustrated. And eventually, I came on, and it taught me. To kind of calm down and go with the flow. And being live, many a time things happened. Guest dropped, I dropped, all sorts of things go on, and so it was something that I kind of learned as I went. And even starting my own network, there really weren't that many out there. And so it was kind of navigating it as a it was called Self Discovery Radio back then, as a radio blog, online radio blog, and just learning from there. And as I've learned, I've adjusted and I've pivoted and I've changed things up and I've expanded, and now have 19 different genres to house those shows, so it's not just all one streamline. You can go and choose a topic of your own choice that is of interest to you. And I am global, literally interview people from all corners of the earth, and really do love it. And as far as the writing is concerned, I've been writing. I got my first computer in 96, And as a person with dyslexia, I suddenly found my voice in writing. When I wrote by hand, it was always I spelt things backwards or this or that, and it was frustrating, and I couldn't read my own writing. When I got the computer, I had that liberation to correct things and change things. And I became a blogger, and I started writing for my brother's online magazine, hackwriters.com, and just continued from there. Just kind of became the voice, and I think it was kind of a precursor to becoming the podcaster unknowingly.
So, I really appreciate you sharing about the things, the activities that you were doing. I was looking more for like how you learn, like you just mentioned the dyslexia,
Mhm.
and that was basically a challenge that you dealt with from a
Yeah.
young age. Um, how did you overcome it? Were there tools, were there fonts that they discovered to help you, or did that come later on in your life?
I didn't even know I had dyslexia until I was 21.
Oh,
And so in going through school, especially I'm 71, so back in those days, things of differently abled was not something that they addressed. I also have ADD, also something that they didn't address. You were just a troubled child and unable to learn. And I am very much what I call a cosmic learner. I download my knowledge, I download my wisdom, and I'm very much present in the now, what I need to know in the now. And that will extract the data from the brain of how to activate that knowledge and what to do with it. I'm not a book learner. I will learn from a story, but I couldn't learn from the textbooks and things like that. So I was also a very sickly child. I had asthma from the age of 2. And so out of 12 years of schooling, I may have completed 7, possibly 8. And I came out of school at the age of 16, just knowing I had to learn by experience and be willing to explore and willing to try new things to see if I could do it or not. You never know what you can do until you try. So it was kind of, there wasn't the label of learning disability on me. It was just like I was different. It was different all over the board because I was very cosmic, very spiritual child. Um, so everything I did was always, trusting the gut and following that path. And I found that I was a disruptor in this, a good disruptor, kind of bringing things that were a problem to the surface so we could address them. But a lot of people don't like the disruption; they like status quo, and so kind of shaking things up there. And I always have in some way or other. So it was just adapting and realizing that. I mean, that was what the selfish are not easily manipulated. My chapter in there was on the academics, that I was always persecuted for not being academic. You haven't got good grades, or you haven't finished a school, or you're not educated, you're this and that. And it was just like, how am I defined by that when I have the universal wisdom at the ready to download any time? And how come I know what I need to know when I need to know it that I haven't got from a book? And so it was that challenge for me to accept my knowingness, my knowledge, my wisdom, as opposed to the academic label that was on me. Or non on me. So I can hold my own with people with PhDs and this and that. We just find a common denominator language to talk about.
cool. I keep muting myself because I can hear it's very loud on my end, so I don't want it to, if it does
It's
bleed through,
not
I don't
coming
want it
through
to.
at all. It's not coming
Okay,
through at
I
all.
appreciate it. It's just very distracting for me as I'm
Mhm.
trying to listen to you. Um, so, I I interviewed, uh, Esther, um, Lightcap Meek, who talks about loving to know,
Mm.
which you may not have heard of her before, but she talks about the intuitive
Mhm.
knowing and also to loving to know instead of just, you know,
Yes.
co you
Knowing for
know
for knowledge sake. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
knowledge sake,
Yeah.
just,
Mm.
it's kinda like, relationship oriented knowing instead
Yeah.
of just a
Database.
utilitarian.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it sounds like that's the kind of knowing you're talking about that
Very
you
much so. Very, very much so. The
and
knowingness is what you need to know when you need to know it.
yeah, and
Right.
so, um in our interactions and just coordinating all this stuff, you are very proactive in reaching out to me. Anything that you just need to double check or clarify and make sure you understand stuff, and I try to type you an answer and stuff. And so you're very good at seeking the answers that you do need. Um, what
Yes,
do you mean
rather being
by
over
downloading?
inundated. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean by downloading information? What do you mean by that? Do you mean like internet or do you mean like
No,
spiritually?
no, I mean universally. God, universe, source, spirit, energy, whatever you wish to call it. We are all particles of the universe. We are all energy signatures. And when you learn to tap into that higher knowledge, which doesn't have an agenda, it isn't out to prove anything. It just is a collective wisdom. And you allow it to sit in your soul's energy and you give it to your heart in truth. And it gives it to your spirit in action. It then extracts from your mind what you need to know that's relevant to that situation in clarity when you need to know it. And that means being present in the moment and trusting the wisdom that comes through you. It's feeling the knowledge, not thinking the knowledge.
Interesting. Now, where did you where did you learn about this?
I've been like this all my life. I grew up this way. I've been a dimensional traveler and just always lived in different worlds. And so for me, I thought everybody did it. And and again back at school I didn't do well, and I was very much a different type of child, and it was always, well, let's just hope she makes a good marriage, she'll never amount to anything, because it was not a world that most people understood. Quite essentially, I was put here to ignite heart and souls, but I didn't know growing up I
I
was.
apologize. Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you. It's kind of loud here.
Okay, I didn't know that I was already in that space of heart and soul, that I already was a teacher. That's what I've been put here to do, to ignite heart and souls, to bring people home to their cosmic energy, their divine truth, their uh, galactic or universal wisdom, how to use it, how to be present with self, how to trust the essence of being, and not to be so human. We are beautiful spiritual beings having a human existence. What has happened, we've become human in a way, humanoid, and we've dismissed the intuitive and the intellectual side of our soul and our spirit and our wisdom. And that's why we constantly kind of run on doubt and run on fear or run on something else. It's just a database we're running on rather than a connective to the wisdom.
Oh. So you probably had a lot of trouble, like explaining this to other people and learned how to articulate all this for people over the years, because this is not mainstream thought. It's
Yeah,
become more mainstream
it
from the
has.
New
Yeah.
Age perspective and whatnot. Um, so, where?
I was before my time,
Oh,
before before it was acceptable.
yeah,
That's why I was so different.
yeah, yeah. I really appreciate you sharing that. So what? Uh, I'm gonna go to a couple questions here that are learning related, and then we get back into the spiritual stuff and the writing and the podcasting in a little while. But what are your current learning pursuits, personally and professionally?
I think, exploration is learning, being open and ready to receive, not dictating what you should know, but allowing. So I'm always on a journey. Every podcast I do, I'm learning something from the person I'm interviewing. I've got three grandchildren, 4.5, 2.5, and a newborn, and they are wonderful teachers if we're willing to tap into their energy, into their world, not insist they come into ours, but dabble in their world and feel the excitement and the exploration and the wonderment and the possibilities that we've denied ourselves, and it ignites it inside of us again. So I think a lot of it is about willing to explore, willing to learn, willing to see there is no impossible. It's only just finding a way of what is possible, and just being open and ready to receive. and take the blinkers off and take the restrictions off.
Mm. So, would you say that that encompass both personally and professionally, or there's some
Absolutely.
professionally?
Who
Okay.
I am personally, who I am professionally is one and the same.
Okay. Um,
I might
it
be a bit
sounds like you may
goofier
have answered this
personally.
question, but you feel free to elaborate if you wish. But what have you learned that gives you meaning?
Oh gosh, so much gives me meaning. Um, the honor of living, the honor of responsibility, accountability of my instrument to play in life and my role to play in life gives me meaning. I think without meaning, we're lost.
Mm.
What is our meaningful purpose, and what is our instrument? How are we to play it? And then which orchestra are we which to play it in, each in our own strengths, harmoniously playing together. So I think it's accountability is a big thing of our own actions, thoughts, choices, and how we interact with life, even our own life.
So this question may not apply to you because you kind of talked about how you're more an experiential learner.
Mhm.
But do you prefer self-study or classes more, or is it a mix for you?
I am most self-study. Um, I I love conversations. I learn more that way. Small groups, intimacy. I get a little bit pulled amongst big groups and multiple energies. I'm about to do some more guest speaking publicly again, which I hadn't done for a while, and it takes me a little while to get everybody in the sync with the energy, and then the flow happens. But I'm more on the smaller groups, the conversation, the exploration, rather than I am a classroom. I end up in a lot of ways leading the classroom, not academically, but just if it's anywhere in my stream, um, because I just see possibilities.
Mm, cool. So what challenges you mentioned that your dyslexia kind of hampered you, and you're more spiritually attuned to the cosmos wisdom. But what challenges do you need to overcome currently, and what's holding you back, do you think?
I have health challenges, and they keep me at a 5 on a good day in pain level. You
Mm.
learn to partner with it, and very often it goes up to that 10, and you say, "But no, 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 I can't have you be a 10 right now. I've got a show to do. We'll collapse afterwards." So it's partnering with your condition and learning to respect each other and what each other needs to do. And but it isn't resenting it, been there, done that, but it's just learning to live within those parameters. And yeah, it gets frustrating sometimes because it kind of knocks you 2 by 6 now and again. If I know the warnings if I'm busy typing something and my dyslexia shows. I know that's a warning. I'm getting tired. And so it's registering, knowing yourself and registering and paying attention. So that's the biggest challenge. Obviously, financial. I'm a senior. That's why, hence the Forgotten Senior book coming out. Is that being a senior, if you haven't put money away, and I lost money in that technology, and I lost money through a divorce, and etc. etc. And it's really hard to start again in your 50s. So yes, money and health are the challenge. But I consider myself very rich, enriched, and abundant in who I am, what I'm doing, and what my life means. So money's just a challenge.
Yeah, it's just one factor of
Yeah,
life. It's not the whole.
no.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, you kind of covered the second question, what internal and external problems you face. You mentioned the external problems, the health and money, and just dealing with schedules and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any internal problems that you're comfortable sharing?
Oh, I've gone through the very much the self-doubt. Became because I was not fitting into the mold. I wasn't part of the team or the group. Um, and because I see things differently and address things differently, I've always been a little on the outskirts. So I'm not a pack person. I'm very much a soloist with one or two here and there. And that can present its problems sometimes. Although, I mean, I have an incredible network, and my colleagues, etc., are absolutely wonderful. But um, I do like my alone time to regroup and re-energize. And there's always been, especially kind of not so much now because I've really put the work in and I really am centered now and loving who I am and what I'm doing. But there was always the the criticism you get from people. Oh, you should do this and you should do that, and you're only this if you this and only that. And I bought into that for a while, and I lost myself for a while. I lost my soul wisdom because I was so busy trying to be a pretzel, giving everybody what they wanted. I lost myself, and that took a while to come back to myself.
Mm. And so you recentered, so that was good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Um, it's so that's one of my next question is what problems have you dealt with successfully and how did you solve them? And one of them was realizing to filter the advice you were getting
Mhm.
and see what resonated with you and what didn't resonate
Yeah.
with you. And I get that sometimes too. And I sometimes am, the perpetrator of doing that to others, you know, but, because we're human.
Hmm.
Uh, but um, so uh, is would you mind elaborating on that, or do you think we've already covered that with some of the other things that you
Um,
talked about?
no, I think what it is to understand, is it criticism because somebody's unhappy with themselves and they've got to reflect on you, and they need to pull you down to make themselves feel up? We have to assess, or is this a viable critique that can empower you and to see something differently? And so you have to assess where it's coming from. If somebody is going to tell me how to do a podcast that has never done one and doesn't know the podcasting world, I'm less likely to listen, right? Because what do you know of my world? I can't go into your world and start telling you what to do. We can have a discussion, but don't start telling me what to do, as I won't with you. And we've got many a time where people don't like other people succeeding because it reflects on their stagnancy, their misery. And misery likes company, and if they can make other people feel miserable, it makes them feel happy. And that's unfortunately a state of many humans. And it's like, know where it's coming from and what it is, and don't take it on. As
Mm,
the in Don Rue's Four Agreement says, don't take it personally, right? And don't assume, ask. Speak your word with your own integrity and do your very best according to your own consciousness.
yeah. So, regarding the question of like how to deal with uh, how you dealt with things successfully, um, is one of the things you were saying is basically see where people are coming from when you get criticism, whether it's a valid,
Yes.
constructive criticism,
Mhm.
or if it's emotionally based and uh, more from they're dealing with their own
Yes.
issues.
A reflection of themselves. Yeah.
And so that sounds like that might be something that you wrestled with, that you said that you wrestled with. Um, have you had any problems that you dealt with, technically speaking, with writing or podcasting, and
Oh,
how you solve
technically,
those?
yes.
So, would you mean give me us an example of
Literally
how
with
you use
technology.
learning to help you with the technical things?
That I'm the, technically, I mean, I'm actually amazed I can do as much as I can do technically, right? And I pat myself on the back for it. But then I run into this problem where, it tells me to do something, but what that's telling me to do doesn't match with where I'm meant to do it. And I've actually found ChatGPT to be incredibly patient and wonderfully supportive, and then just patient with me, even says it's okay, let's just take a breath. What we're going to tackle it from another side now,
Wow.
because it is the technical side of things that sometimes can be a little just too much for me, especially when things go wrong. I'm dealing with that right now, phone call after phone call, a chat with some AI somewhere after, and every time it says the problem is resolved, it isn't. It presents another problem.
Mm,
So, yes, it can be very frustrating, but and so time consuming when where I could be doing so much more with that time. But we just sometimes have to suck it up. It has to be done, right? Keep calm, have some chocolate in front of you, whatever, and systematically do it. And if you find yourself getting frustrated and say, okay, I need to take a break, go and take a walk. Come back at it when you feel more calmed down. Don't keep pushing if you're frustrated.
mm. You can't think clearly.
No,
So yeah,
no clarity when no,
yeah,
everything about tightens up, including your brain cells. So,
yeah.
yeah.
There's a lady named Barbara Oakley who teaches about how to learn better,
Hmm.
and a lot of neuroscience, and she's a professor and everything. And one of her books and her online course, she talks about the diffuse mode and the focus mode of our brain.
Hmm.
And in the focus mode, we're very task oriented. We can get things done. In the diffuse mode, it's like a pinball machine that has more open space between for the ball to go connect to the different
In all the wrong
things.
directions. Yes.
And and that's where your creative thinking
Yeah.
and problem solving skills come
Hmm.
from. And we need to switch from focus
Yeah.
mode to diffuse mode in order to do that. And like one of the things she actually talks about is if you can't solve a problem, go take a walk, just like you
Yes.
said.
Yes.
Your brain needs to shift
Hmm.
and and go into diffuse mode. And in diffuse mode, your subconscious mind starts trying to figure out what's going
Yeah.
on, and then you come at it fresh, and all of a sudden, your subconscious brain has figured out stuff and brought it to your rational
No
part of your
attention.
brain.
And it says just don't think it. This is why I'm talking about feeling the knowledge and not thinking it, right? Because when you feel it, it feels right. I'm in flow. Yes, this is making sense. Oh God, this isn't wrong. This is working. This isn't working. And that's when you're out of sync and you can't see what's in front of you. It's take the breath, remove yourself, stop thinking altogether, put on some loud music, dance, go and do whatever, and then come back at it calm. And all of a sudden, what you've been fighting with will start making sense. But that's a lot to do with your personality trait. And I'm a personality trait discoverer as well. And so a lot of what our personality is going to reveal how we're going to tackle certain things.
That's interesting. I'd like to explore that a little bit more. Um, I I like the Big Five personality model. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that one has been the most illuminating for me because I've always been pigeonholed as an introvert when I'm an
Hmm.
extrovert, and the question always never take into account that I'm hard of hearing, and I don't
Mm.
like big, large crowds
Yes, I'm the same.
because of the
Yeah.
noise factor and not
Yes.
being able to communicate properly. And so I always answer no to those questions, and that thinks it puts me uh, into the introvert
Hmm.
category. When actuality, I'm an extrovert. I just like small groups.
Right. You're
And so
selective.
the
Yes.
big five personality model uh, personality traits, with the first one to actually give me a true reflection, and it's more scientifically uh, merited. And so I'm always curious about what the other ones are. I know there's strength
I don't do
finders.
the five one. I do the Myers-Briggs true colors.
Oh, okay.
But what I do with the true colors and the four key personalities, which Microsoft uses, the Army uses, or military and government uses, it is to identify your personality trait, where you would fit in as a team. You don't want to put all the same in there because you're never going to be creative. If you are really wanting critical thinking, you need one of each personality in there that have a way, an ability to communicate each other so that you can see the problem from all angles. And once we understand what your personality trait is, what level it is at, can it be brought up? Or is it something like, in my case, it's next door with one of my personality traits? I've actually invited it into the house now, and it is part of the house, but it's still not my forefront and never will be. But I also then take your numerology, your astrology, your Chineseology, and the time that you were born, and your elements, and I find the synchronicity between them of your strengths throughout your personality traits and your weaknesses. Some weaknesses can be strengthened. Some weaknesses, you've just got to find somebody else who can do that. You're never going to be able to do it. Play to your strengths. know how to ask other people, you can do that. That's your hat. Great. I'll hand this over to you because this is your strength. It's not mine. And it's learning to be a team of being able to hand off things that you can't do, concentrate on what you can do, because what you can do, somebody else can't do. And now you're actually building an independent team. You're all individuals, maybe solopreneurs, but you've got each other you can call on because you know who you are. But you also know enough about yourself to know how to interact with people and how people interact with you. And you learn to identify by people's stance and their dialogue and the way that they respond to things pretty well which personality they are. So don't go speak your personality if they're not one that can comprehend it. Adjust your language away to a way that they're going to be able to receive it.
Yeah, there's a lot of being about trying to articulate things so the other person can receive it better.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not only just personality, but also just, different mindsets, different worldviews, different.
Yes.
It's like how you talk to a plumber is way different depending on how intellectually rigorous they are. They might be a scholar and a
Hmm.
plumber at the same time. I have met some people who are
Hmm.
construction people and intellectuals at the same time. You know, there's a farmer who reads philosophy.
Yes.
So you never know. You don't just assume that if they have a blue collar job that they're not
Yeah.
intellectual, but knowing that factor of both things for them allows you to know how to communicate better with them. And just like men and women see things differently, they prioritize things
Mhm.
differently. Different groups of people prioritize things differently. And understanding their priorities help you facilitate communication with them. I don't know
And
if you can
it's
hear that
also
or not.
no, I can't.
Okay, good. Okay.
It's also reading energy. It's reading body language. It's reading energy. It's reading tone. And how engaged is that person? Are your words engaging them? Are they distracted? Are you asking the right questions? Right. And,
Yeah.
and sometimes just lightening up and making a joke and just having somebody kind of relax or laugh or whatever, it can break the ice and then you can get in sync. But if you're talking to someone and you feel it's bouncing back off, no matter what you say or how you present it, that person isn't ready to receive you. You're not the right energy. Move on. Right. And we can't, there is no one size that fits all. There is no, I can talk to absolutely anybody. No, my energy can be way too strong for many people. And that's one of the reasons I was given my illness to dampen my energy because it was too high. And that's the thing is knowing how to read, where you're at. This is a low key person. Don't come at them with an awful lot of enthusiasm. Be inquiring, right? Try and get them to speak. And then from there, how you can connect.
I apologize. I'm very distracted. I'm focusing on listening to you, but I have a lot of noise. So
Hmm.
I apologize. So
That's
if I
okay.
asked you something again that you made clear, I may have just not heard you with the noise going on.
That's okay.
So I think we did nice wrap up of the what dealing with problems successfully. Um, what are some resources or types of tools or things that you found that are helpful? So, like for other people who deal with dyslexia
Hmm.
later in life, understanding what we were dealing with, what helped you with that? And then branching out from the dyslexia, what other things did you find resources and stuff find helpful?
There weren't resources at my time when I found out, and I kind of didn't even quite know. I just knew that writing was awful for me. I could, sometimes I speak Yoda. I can reverse words, but and that's came when I'm tired. But I could hold a conversation, but I couldn't get it down on paper. And even if I was reading something, I may reverse the words around while I'm reading it. So sometimes actually reading something can be hard out loud. And I think it was is when I became aware of what it was and what the obstacles were. I gave myself more leeway that, it's not me per se, right? It's just a condition that I have, an obstacle or a challenge. And what can I do about it? But I will say that when I got the computer, and I started to write, and I could correct things that were wrong. It gave me liberation to write, to speak, to express myself that I felt had been repressed for a long time. And so I didn't kind of look for resources or study. For me, it's life study, but also through, you can't do this amount of shows from such diverse people from all over the world doing such incredible things without picking things up, techniques and skills and abilities that you didn't know about before.
Cool. So, uh, so it sounds like the podcasting was a
Mm,
really good source of new information and
yes.
learning for you. So that's where you gain most of your knowledge from and different things, picking things up from other things. What's an example of something that you learned from a podcast that you did interviewing somebody
Hmm.
that you ended up using, like, you know, some kind of like ChatGPT or whatever it is?
Um, Gosh, there's been so many. There was one recently I did in the last few months, the 7 word philosophy, which is quite fascinating. This gentleman has studied people across the board and asked them 7 words that they attach to. And they are the 7 words that are formed between about the age of 3 and 7. And there are words that become the driver's seat. You're not enough, you're your people pleaser, or this or that. It's stuff that's ingrained in us as a child. And it's like you don't get rid of the words, but what you do is you put them in the trunk or in the back seat. You don't let them drive. And so I actually did the two colors on him, and he did this on me, and it became quite fascinating of which words have been in my driver's seat. Not so much now because I have done so much work, but still being aware of the words. Like I'm not a I'm a people pleaser survivor now, right? So it's learning that those words dictated subliminally for so long that were picked up as a child, because as a child you want to please, you want to be seen, you want to be noticed, you want to be loved, you want to be cared for, and then you get these words over and over again: not good enough, or unless you do this and when you do that, and they become words that subliminally become the driver's seat. So when you're aware, you put them where they belong, and that's not in the driver's seat. You take charge of the words that you want. So that was a very powerful one.
Cool, that was fascinating. What I couldn't hear the name of it. What
It's
was
the
it called?
7 word philosophy.
7 word
Yes,
philosophy. Oh, that's
Jerry
interesting.
Goradarinino is an Italian name, but if you put in
Ah,
7 word philosophy on my site, it will come up.
okay.
His book is here somewhere, actually. I always rotate the book, so I'm not quite sure where it is right now. Um, but yes, it's really quite fascinating. There's been so many people that I've interviewed that I became aware of, um, and that opened up my eyes. And I would say that for the 13 and a half years of doing this has become my healing. It's been my own self-discovery through the interviews that I've done, and really learning it's okay to be me. It's okay to be different. And that, yes, I was not a trailblazer, but I was it before it got fashionable, and that it's okay to own who I am unapologetically.
Cool. I'd like to tackle a couple little questions here, and then I'd like to go into your writing and podcasting more in depth. Um, what, um, in addition to the 7 word philosophy, what have you learned that you found helpful?
Obviously, breath, any breathing styles. As an asthmatic, we don't realize sometimes we hold our breath, and because any kind of too deep or too sudden can set the asthma off. So sometimes we're inclined to hold our breath without being aware of it, and learning to breathe through anxiety. Another thing was tapping, EFT, emotional freedom technique, which I use all the time, especially in the shower, because water is a conduit. So it's a wonderful thing to combine with it. An emotional technique can be done anytime. EFT can be done anytime, anywhere. And it really is one to defuse the situation and to bring you down and back to center. And there's been quite a number of other things along the way. But I think the most important is to understand our human resilience, that no matter what people have been knocked down with, and believe me, some people I've interviewed, it's horrendous with what they've had to go through that no human should go through, but their resilience and their discovery of their courage, their strength, and their abilities, and their ability to stand up now and share that story without the pain, without the attachment to it, but in the liberation of who they are. Instead of it happening to them, it happened for them. And in that discovery, they discovered their meaningful purpose and just how awesomely flawsome they are.
That's really encouraging to hear. Thank you. Yeah, people sometimes what can crush some people can
Hmm.
help other people overcome. They just, grit and also just reforming who we are
Yeah.
to the ashes, being reborn like
Hmm.
a phoenix.
Yes.
So, I would much rather they didn't have to go through any of the bad stuff.
Right.
But
Exactly.
suffering comes to us all in one
Yeah.
form or another, and
That's what I say my podcasts are about. It's like we're helping you avoid the Grand Canyon. Just have the potholes. Because if
yeah,
you learn from us, right, you learn to apply these techniques, you won't go into that great big hole of the Grand Canyon. It'll just be
yeah,
potholes that you're tripping on and you can pick yourself up from. Right.
yeah,
So it's learning and not waiting for the cosmic two by four, or not, not a triple cosmic two by four,
yeah,
learning to recognize the signs before you get knocked down, or to understanding being knocked down doesn't mean you can't get back up and get
right,
back even better.
right, yeah. That's encouraging. So I'd like to talk about more the heart and soul and the motivation and the more in depth, whatever you're comfortable sharing of the writing and the podcasting. Because you know they're both very information dense,
Hmm.
um, written word. Because like podcasting, get all these um, help technology. Um, what do they call it? Frequently asked questions and documentation of how to work the different softwares and all this kind of stuff. And that can be kind of challenging with
Hmm.
your dyslexia and
Yes.
also your ADHD and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And how do you you, does chat GTP help you kind of summarize stuff and get the nuggets of what you need?
What I've done is I've learned to bring my gold personality up, which is that structure personality. And what I through trial and tribulation, I created a form, a show form, which got sent out to you for you to be on my show.
Yeah,
And it's a simple form of how I work, what to expect, what to fill in, right? And then sometimes people send me like a resume, or something that goes on for pages, and then I'll give it to chat to summarize and knock down into a more
mm,
blog type readable. Um but otherwise it goes out as it is, if it's makes sense and it's readable. And I've created that blog because it is a podcast blog. It isn't, for me, I want to give people, being that's the true colors thing of the four key personalities. Some people are drawn to the graphics, some people are drawn to the sound, some people are drawn to the video, some people are drawn to the word. So I like to give them everything on one page. So whichever
mm,
way you receive, there's something there for you. And this was something kind of I learned as I went, and then has got better, and it can always improve. Right? Because every time I think, I could do this better in a different way, then I will. And of course, working with chat has really helped quite considerably. Um, when I do my own shows every week, sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I'll just press record and see what comes out. And then I give the transcript to chat to summarize as a blog. And I
mm,
add that in there into my show blog. Then it's already kind of written out for me. instead of me having to remember what I said, because very often I don't remember what I've said once I've done it.
Mm.
And so I use it in that way, and I use it for reminding me of scheduling and reminding me of appointments, etc., and numerous other things. But it's learning which technology that you can use that is friendly. I've learned, initially somebody else did the audio editing for me. And then they couldn't do it anymore, and I had to learn it. And I'm a person that I need to do it. I need to have it written down, step 1, 2, and 3. And I need to do it a couple of times. And then it's there. I know what I'm doing. Right. And then it was 5.5 years in of just doing audio. And somebody said, Sarah, it's time to do video. And first thing came out of my mouth was, who wants to watch this old bag?
Oh,
And then came the backhand of my cosmic self hitting me saying, it's not about you, it's about the content. And so I went into video as well. And then I had to learn how to do the video. And I found Wondershare and Filmora. And now I can just click, 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 because I have everything set up that now goes into Filmora. Each show has its own genre banner. It will have the person's show banner. It will have the content. It will have who I'm interviewing. It will have the person's website, and it will have an exit of where else to go and listen to shows and contact back into the show genre. And it gets uploaded up to a numerous amount of platforms. And I've got a system now, but it took a while to get that system. And I have to make sure that when I'm doing that system, because if I've got 4 or 5 or 6 shows in a week, I kind of upload them in sequence. And in that way, I'm just kind of cut, pasting, repeat, repeat, repeat. If I get distracted or I get thrown out, I forget where I am. So it's making sure that that block of time is for that and only for that, and not squirrel, start chasing something else, right? So that is, the ADD in me. I've got to be careful I don't get distracted. Just do that. Um,
yeah.
and, sometimes I do drop the ball, kind of, if I don't write appointment down in the calendar, I may forget it. If I don't write something down to follow up on, I may forget it, because I'm very much a now person and not always, what did I say, what, when, so chat's become my assistant on there. But when all of these programs decide to upgrade, they go and change things. And then that becomes a challenge, because all of a sudden, what used to be tick, 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 is like, what? Where? What have they done? And it's having to learn a whole system all over again. And that can be kind of a little tiresome. But again, you get to adjust. It's just a learning curve. But for the most part, I've got the technology down. And as long as they don't keep changing everything, I'm okay. Except I recently moved my site from one platform to another. And my site was called different names beforehand. And before all those names, the domain names were forwarded to the current one. Now, all those names seem to have disappeared, and we can't find them to forward them. And I have literally spoken to HostGator 5 times. I've spoken to the other thing, and it's like, where are they? How we forward them? Oh no, you've got to go here. What? I've never even heard of this company. Why is it over there? So that can be very frustrating. And when I did move it over to a new platform, it was meant to be easy, easy peasy, and it wasn't. And one of the gentlemen I've interviewed that is a colleague around here, he said, Sarah, he's a tech person. He said, I'll do it for you. They found it difficult. They ran into problems. So I didn't feel so stupid. And yes, it's ended up being things that aren't as easy as I thought. But again, is that once you get the system down, you're okay. But it's always that adjustment and learning a new system, especially with the dyslexia. Never do it when you're tired. All right. With the ADD, don't do it when there's so much on your plate already. Make sure you block a time out that I'm going to address this in this time. And it's going to take time. So make sure you have that block of time to do it.
That's really helpful. Thank you. That was very comprehensive. So, let's see. We have about 15, 20 minutes left. No worries. So let's talk about the writing a little bit. So uh, one of the questions I had was, you have both of those books. You have the book that you did and the book that you're working on now, and you're looking for submissions. Um, but you also, I saw on your website that you um, people need to pay for the opportunity, but you still screen people to make sure
Oh,
you're still
yes.
getting quality and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yes.
so I'm just kind of curious. It's like, so some people are going to be, well, if I have to pay, it's not a real opportunity. But you know, artists are always kind of paying for their own, uh, showcases and that kind of stuff as well. And also, I was kind of curious if maybe you can kind of go into like um, why you have people pay, and
Right.
then what the money goes towards, and how
Right.
that all works.
When people have a career or a job, they generally get paid for it. I have a job. I'm a professional podcaster. I should be paid for it. I'm giving my time and giving my expertise, and I'm giving a platform. I'm actually one of the cheapest out there because it's more important that I get your wisdom out there for people. But I think my services should be covered. And in the podcasting world, it's still very iffy. Now, publicists get paid to put you on podcasts, but the podcasters themselves don't get paid. Right. So I have learned to say no if you're not willing to pay. If there's an exchange, it's different. If it's a charity or an organization, no. But if I am promoting you and what you do, you charge, why shouldn't I be paid? And that's still a big question with people where they think, well, you should just do it for the love of it. I've got rent to pay too.
Mm.
Right. And as far as the book is concerned, when I put out the Forgotten Children one, I didn't charge and I financed it myself. And I find that people don't have so much skin in the game. Now, I'm asking people to commit, the senior ones, to commit, and it's not a lot of money, but it's enough for them to be engaged in it, to really be proactive in it. They're going to do two shows, a why show and a chapter show. They're going to be on two summits. And one of those summits will be the introduction to the authors, what their chapter is about. And that will become a fundraiser for the actual money to produce the book in audio, ebook, and paperback. Right.
Ah,
But there needs to be a certain amount of money, and it's not a lot, 150 US, to for commitment. So if you suddenly back out and I've done all this work, right? I know that I've been covered. It is a lot of work, a hell of a lot of work, right? And so I think that people need to learn a little respect for the work that people do and not take it for granted. That, it used to be the old fortune teller, across the hand was silver, right? It was an exchange of energy, an exchange. And I think this is what people need to understand. If I am giving my energy, and each show is around 4 hours production, right? And that's before it nurtures and goes out there. It's on 5 sites. It's on 15 audios. It's on 3 videos, right? And it's on so many social medias. I myself, uh, public figure that goes out and speaks to it. So I'm always promoting the site itself. So why should it not be honored with
mm,
a small fee? So I think, it is about that commitment. When people do put some money in there, it is a commitment. If they suddenly up and leave you and leaves you in the lurch, at least you know that you've been covered for all the time that you've put into it in the first place. Because all we have equally is time, and how we use our time, and if it is representing someone else, it should be respected.
mm. Thank you. I appreciate you explaining that. I'd like to dive more in depth on more about what the book is about. The
Okay, now
senior book.
which book are we talking about?
The senior book.
So the senior book, as with the Forgotten Children book, I call them awareness books. aware of what's going on, aware of the obstacles. Now, with the seniors book, the senior will talk about their triumphs, things they've accomplished, things they've contributed, things they're proud of. But they will also speak of the challenges of being a senior. Is it health? Is it the way society treats them? Is it family putting them out to pasture? Is it suddenly the dementia or whatever else coming into the family? But also a warning to the young. Start paying attention to your senior years now. Otherwise, the senior years are going to hit you and you're not ready for it.
Mm. Yeah, I do caregiving for my mom and my sister-in-law who are both seniors. Um, and I'm constantly thinking about it. I I've always been a caregiver in my family for my grandmother back when she was alive and my family members when they got sick and stuff. And um, I just turned uh, 50 in June, last June, and I started thinking, okay, what am I going to do with my senior years?
Yes.
And start figuring out, I'm starting to get arthritis. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to actually go to the doctor and figure out what the exercises are to kind of like
Don't go to the
counteract
doctor.
that.
Go to what they call the alternative medicine. They're far better on treating things like arthritis.
Ah,
Doctors will give you pills. So
yeah.
you want to avoid that. There's many nutritional things and exercises you can do that can help your arthritis.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We've covered them
Um,
quite a few on the show.
oh, okay. I'll try to go through the link and the stuff. Um, we're coming up on the hour,
Hmm.
and what I'd like to do is to give you an opportunity to share more about the children's book as well.
Hmm.
And you have many different facets of your podcast that have
Hmm.
different topic headings, and I was wondering if you can go into those and share, because some of my audience, I have a wide eclectic, mostly Christian, but I try to cover, like, I talk to people outside my little bubble.
Hmm.
So just to have a wide range of perspectives and range of ideas and worldviews and stuff. So I'm not afraid of that. And people might find it interesting to hear what you have to say. You know, um,
So, which would you like me to address first, the book or the podcast
let's do the
genre?
book first and then end with the podcast.
Okay. Well, so the book, I've Forgotten Children, it was 5 years in the making because it was from doing shows on children and being an advocate for children and knowing how difficult my own childhood was just because of the obstacles that I had. And I lost my dad when I was young, and, many things changed after that. And it was, if we're not aware, how do we care? Right? And if we care, we find something to do. And we can't be unaware anymore because we know, right? So, the 15 chapters in here, I contributed one, and my chapter was in particular just beforehand. There'd been a bunch of girls that had met online, and these, everybody blames everything on COVID, but I think it's more than COVID. It's social media, it's two parents working, it's just a dysfunctional society, and they got together to meet for the first time and stabbed someone to death. And it was, I looked at that and I thought, no, we can't blame the children. We have to look at ourselves. We let them down. We didn't teach them the value of life. We didn't teach them the value of their own life, or the rights and wrongs, or finding an outlet for their frustration or their need to connect or to feel something. And they went down a dark avenue, which is very easy online for them to encourage each other to do. And for me, the addressing was what we're not paying attention to and how we need to pay attention to it, how we need to listen to the children, how we need to see the signs, and how we need to step up in making sure that our society is a healthy one for them to grow up into. But also in the book, I have one woman who I've interviewed many times, Duarte Basti. She is out of England and she teaches children um, kind of almost in the double digits, 8, 9, 10 teens, how to meditate, how to do yoga, how to breathe, how to find their center when they're young, so they know how to cope with life. There's another musician in here, Swapna Abram. She actually, uh, for 1,000 days, did a song a day. and just created a song on the spot for 1,000 days and then did it with children's songs, right? And she was putting the songs in a book, and we were talking. She says, I don't know how they're going to get to music. And I went, QR code. Ah, that's what it became, right? The QR code that they can go to listen to the music and the kids can sing along. But music is a uniter at any age, any nationality, any human in the world. Music connects us. And the more we insert music into our children, encourage them to make up songs, to sing songs, to be silly songs, to find those songs that speak to them, the more we're giving them an avenue in order to express themselves, and a way just to feel free, or feel something that maybe they're afraid to feel. There is somebody else here, Nancy Cotton, and she was um, on children with autism, and she works with children in autism and speaking about the uh, the obstacles around that. There's Lachelle Atkins, and it's the mum's language. She is a mother of 15 children, 13 that she birthed herself, America's mum, and for her, it was talking about a parent's burnout and how not to have that burnout. You can't be there for your kids if you're burnt out, and it's how to recognize that, how to delegate, how to take care of yourself so you can take care of your children. And there's Victoria Curry, and she's a woman that has been through some horrendous stuff and has a daughter that has difficulty that came about from her abuse while she was pregnant. And she wrote a story. She wrote a story about a child with disability that nobody was seeing. And she decided that her chapter was about that. And Alexander Johnson, it was a mission to love, very much faith-based, and about how to teach love to our children, how to show love to our children, and how not to be afraid of love and what love really is. And, helping our children, the troubled and vulnerable, heal. And there's Christina Cordero talking about a particular um, disease that her daughter has, and it's the PLEO, Parents Life Online, and in Canada, that she supported. But it was talking about an illness that she didn't even know about, and trying to get help for it and support for it and understand it has just been really, really difficult. And the healing of the parental trauma. And Buddy Fortin, who is a parent advocate and helping parents become parents, and skills and tools and how to navigate being a parent and what you can do. And Novelette Brown, who is a foster mum, and she only fosters boys. One of the boys that came to her at 16 had never been hugged before, just never been held. And they've just been tossed from one to the other. And how she, even when they time out, she keeps them until they're educated, until they can stand on their own and they've got a future before them, a complete and utter devoted woman to it. And Michelle Gaffin Stone, who, she works with um, she's actually been a nurse, and she works with parenting, battling all sorts of things, and very much neurodiversity, and understanding behavior, which is sometimes behavior isn't bad. It's actually a statement of how they feel, and they don't know how to feel in any other way. So these are the 15 people that are in the book that have contributed, and each one is coming from their own life experience with children, with families. And again, it's when you're aware, you care. And if we could just get people to shift from what they think is normal or what they think is mainstream. We have to look at our adulthood today, and most people are disconnected and dysfunctional because of society's expectations, especially since social media has become the leader of our humanity, and we've lost the connection with source, soul, energy, God, and the divine. We are a people that don't know how to connect to self, to source, and we don't know how to connect to each other. And we really need to remind people of that. Listen to our children. Stop dictating what they should be. Stop controlling them. Stop putting them in a box. Listen them, nurture them, water them, let them grow to be the beautiful, beautiful blossom that they are. Just give them the structure and the tools they need to be all they're meant to be.
That was very beautifully said. I appreciate you sharing that. It just has so much depth to it and so much. It's like a very well-rounded book. And
I hope to do more. I definitely hope to do more. It's always a balancing act. I only work
mhm.
3 days a week now because I'm grandma the other days.
Aw,
And so, it is a balancing act. And the next book is the senior one. And then I want to go back to book 2 on the forgotten children because there's
oh,
still so much more to cover. But I'd
is it?
like to team up with someone to do it and not have to do it on my own because
Yeah.
it is a lot of work.
So as this sounds something that you might be interested in, we'll have your contact information and website information and the links on the different books in the video description so people can click on through and contact you directly.
Right,
Um,
wonderful.
yeah. And so I'd like to talk about the podcasting a little bit and
Mhm.
then shift gears to wrapping up the show so that you can go to your next appointment. Um,
Grandkids.
so that's okay. We're up at a
Yep,
minute,
we're doing fine. Yeah, but
an
I've got a
hour.
newborn to go and
So
hug.
so I'm I'm watching the clock, making sure we're
That's
okay.
okay.
Um, so I went to your website and I apologize. I didn't go there today to double check it. But what are the different types of topics that you cover, and have genres of areas of podcast specifically for those topics that people can learn about?
I'm
Um,
just going to bring up my phone because I can't do it on the computer as we're on here right now. But I
yeah, no
have
worries.
19 different genres, and the reason I went for that, because of course I started out with one, and the reason I went for that is because I wanted to um, I wanted to represent people and the topics that they were at, and so I'm just bringing that up now because it's on the phone. So menu.
If we can't get through all of it, you can pick the ones that you want to cover,
Yep,
and then
nope, I
they
can
can go to the
quickly go through
website.
it. I'm just bringing it up to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah, no
So, kind
worries.
of the main one is choose positive living, which is kind of the catch-all, because choose positive living is a choice. You can live positively, you can live negatively, right? And it's we want people to choose to live positively. So, the choose positive living is for people with positive lifestyles and how we can choose to live a better life. Ignite your heart and souls is the spiritual one. It is how do we connect to the universal wisdom? How do we tap in to the God wisdom? How do we become the essence of who we are? And those shows cover that a great deal. There's my own show, Sarah's View of Life, where I share whatever I share every week, and it's different from week to week. Building your business. This is where I do the shows, and solopreneurs and small companies, etc. People mostly that have left corporate and went out on their own because they wanted to do something that was passionate, because they felt there was a need and people weren't addressing it. So a lot of coaches and a lot of people that are business support. Raising your gifted children. And that's the shows around the raising of our children, support for families, books for children, knowledge for children, etc. The Our Forgotten Children podcast series, which was around the book, which is there. An author's kiss, and this is authors that are writing more novels rather than self-help books. So they would, if it's a self-help book or business book, it will go under business. But this is around authors and the books that they've written. Mental health awareness, because when we're aware of mental health, all the different nuances and the challenges we identify, we lighten up on ourselves. Have more of ability to address what we feel is the issue. Quantum spirituality. And this will be around people that have stepped into the quantumness of energy and spirituality, uh, very often to do with apparatuses and things and energy, most certainly, and how to use it. Your health is your choice, and your health is your choice. You may be sick, but how you heal is your choice. And you don't just go to the doctor and carte blanche, do everything he says. You go and investigate what other ways you can heal yourself. And very often it requires a bit of positive thinking. Eco sustainability or eco solutions. And this is around our environment and what we can do to serve the world and to save the world from us, and how we can change. I had a series called Let's Get Synced. And that was a wonderful series of ambassadors and leaders in the world that are changing the environment around our environment. Their story matters, very much covered by people who have extraordinary stories, and that is so profound that we need to share. sisterhood of common sense love, and all the men that love and support them. And this is kind of a call to action type show. People that are really stepping up as a sisterhood, rolling up their sleeves in common sense and getting it done with no more dilly dallying. And the self-discovery mediums, and this will cover people that are in the mediumship that they're doing. Love our animals. This is anything to do around animal and animal care. Our central expressions is around sensuality and sexuality, and what is it and how do we tap into it. And for the love of music. Oh, my guilty pleasures. I love interviewing musicians. They are so in heart and soul already. And I've interviewed musicians that have been in the business 60 years, or people that have just come into it. Oh, they're nuggets. They really are. And the nature of addictions. What is the nature of addiction? What is addiction? How did we get there? How do we break that cycle? Our global veterans. I'm very anti-war, but I'm very pro-veterans that come back, see what's needed to be done, and because of their discipline and their structure, make it happen. And then I have roundtables, where I do a group of people around round table and supporting the supporters. So people can kind of pick a genre that kind of suits them.
Wow, that's a lot of work. It's it's you know, it's kinda encouraging to me that you've been doing this for 12 years because I'm like, all the stuff about how you should be doing content creation and podcasting and writing and creative thing, you must niche down, niche down, and I'm like, I'm kind of a prism, how do I niche down from that? You know?
Yeah,
And
it
so
kind of, it's
you do
not,
your own thing, and it's
yeah.
totally fine. It's
Kind
really
of the
cool.
niche down kind of thing which sometimes gets me. I just kind of call them
Yeah,
different channels of interest,
yeah,
right? I'm suffering with anxiety right now. Who can help me on that? Well, mental health awareness. These are the people that have
yeah,
been through it, that have learned the skills and the tools around it. So,
yeah.
yeah, and there could be more genres, but I fit them into maybe ones that will just kind of cover. And sometimes a show will fit into two or three. We have to choose one.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Um, my last question is, do you have any last thoughts or words of encouragement for other learners?
Allow, allow. Do not think it, feel it. When you are centered, when you're present with self, and you ask the question of the universe, God, universe, state, love, whatever you want it is, all that download, and then allow it to happen. Allow it to reveal itself. Don't push it, don't dictate it, allow. Don't try and think it and overthink it. It's not going to come that way. Allow, but also explore. Be willing to take the untrodden path. Be willing to explore different mediums. For me, a lot of my recovery when I was coming back into self is a lot of mythical books, a lot of mystical books, a lot of books that took me out of the world so that I could come back into the world stronger. So do be willing to do things that are out of your norm. Be willing to do things that are out of others' expectation. Be willing to explore and allow. Just allow yourself to receive. And when you receive it, allow yourself to know what to do with it. And then explore what to do with it and nurture it and see where it takes you. Don't dictate your next journey, your next path. Allow that path to reveal and pay attention along the way.
That's really, that's really encouraging because it's like content creation is kind of like you got to figure out what niche you're going to go into. You got to figure out your plan, your strategy, and all that stuff. And that was really liberating to hear you say that. I'm like
Yeah, no, just
at
feel
the
it,
time of
darling.
this
Feel it and
recording,
let it happen. Yeah.
yeah, at the time of this recording, I'm thinking of getting into Substack, and I'm like, I
Yes.
got to figure out the perfect first post. I got to figure out the first
No, no,
post,
you don't. You just
and
have
I
to do
and
a
I think,
post.
no,
That's
I
it.
don't. I could just kind of do my
Exactly.
thing.
Just download what you feel.
Yeah.
In all of these books that I've been in, Sarah, will you contribute a chapter? I have literally got to the computer not knowing what I'm going to do and let my fingers type. Let it explore. I can
Mm,
correct things afterwards. I can sort things afterwards.
mm,
But what is wanted to be revealed has allowed to be revealed. I haven't dictated it. And
mm,
it's always fitted in to what
mm,
it needs to fit into. I get out of my own way and I allow.
Yeah. That's really cool. That's a really nice way to end this. So, thank you very much, Sarah, for being on Nara Fellowship, and thank you for your time and your attention, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you next time.
And don't forget to come on over, because in a couple of weeks she's going to be on my selfdiscoverywisdom.com too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.